If you've taken a class with me, you know how much organization matters. In Premiere, for me, for yourself, for projects that you work on in the future, if you ever work on a project with other people, being organized is crucial because then you won't have unlinked files and you won't have corrupted data. Premiere itself is a bit of a glitchy program. It's amazing and it's powerful and it's great for editing, but there are enough problems with Premiere. You do not need to add disorganization and not being able to find files to the process. So because of that, we're gonna be incredibly, incredibly organized. I'm gonna walk you through from start to finish editing today. So we're gonna talk through organization. We're gonna talk through just a refresher of Premiere all the way to the export. All right, so here we go. First things first, on your computer, you need to right click and create a new folder for your project. This can be on your hard drive, this can be on your desktop, this can be wherever you want to use it. I like to use the date. So I use the year, 2021, month, 01, day, 13, and then I usually do my last name and whatever it is. So I'm gonna say POV for today's assignment. Inside that folder is where every single file that is going to be imported into Premiere, everything associated with that project is going to be inside this folder. And every different medium, kind of media, is going to have its own folder. That is going to keep me organized. So within my POV folder, which is my larger project folder, so everything associated with that is gonna come in here. I am going to have a folder for video. This is where I'm gonna put my raw video clips out of the camera. I might have one in the future that is stills. So if you're gonna have photos, you might have one for photos. In the future, you might have a folder for audio if you're running an external audio. You're not worrying about audio for this assignment. You might decide that you want to use music. You don't have to use music, but remember, if you do, you need to be able to use that license. So look for a Creative Commons license or something that's open and allows other people to use it. You're gonna have your video folder, you're gonna have whatever other media you have. Then you're also going to create a folder for the Premiere project file. So you're gonna save the project file there. And then you're gonna save a folder called export. Every single thing that you make in Premiere, that you have made in Premiere, you're gonna export it to the exports folder. All of the other folders are for raw things that are out of your camera, out of your recorders, any other thing that you pulled in. But whatever you export in Premiere, you're gonna save to the exports folder. That's how you can know what you created, all right? And now we're gonna go ahead and import our files. So you're gonna take your SD card out of your camera and put it, if you're in the lab, in the back of your computer, kind of in the back of your computer, there's a little slot to put your SD card in. And when you do, it will pop up. You will see it on the desktop of your computer. So mine popped up here. I'm gonna double click. And then I'm gonna, I like to click one and Command A to select all the rest of my files. And I'm gonna drop them into my folder with all my video. I actually have a few more video clips that I'm gonna also drop in from earlier. And I'm just waiting for all those to load. And if you wanna have music, you're gonna drop that into the music folder. So as I'm waiting for everything to upload, now I'm gonna go and open Premiere. You might have to log in and create a new student login for Adobe Creative Cloud. So you might have to do that first by looking at the spotlight, typing Adobe Creative Cloud. And if you open that, you should be able to get to a menu where you can log in. Or on your computer, if you see this kind of figure 8 looking thing at the top of your computer, that will open the Adobe Creative Cloud installer. And over here, you can see if you're logged in, or you might need to sign out and go through it and create a new account. I would use your Mercer email for that account because you might need to save it or remember the password later. All right, so then we're gonna open Premiere. So I like to use the spotlight, and you're gonna go to Premiere and you're gonna wait and it's gonna pop up. Premiere sometimes takes a while to load, so just be patient while it loads. When everything is uploaded onto your hard drive, you can go back and eject your card. I like to just take my card and immediately eject it and put it back in the camera so that I do not leave it in the lab. I don't leave it anywhere else. It is exactly where it needs to be. You also don't want to edit on your SD cards. You want to be sure that you're saving your files onto the hard drive, onto a hard drive, or onto your desktop. All right. So Premiere opened, and I'm gonna go to New Project. Here, there's a few things. So I'm gonna rename this Wilson POV. I am gonna browse, and I'm gonna save it to my folder. So I know my folder's on the desktop, in the POV folder, into the Premiere folder. I'm gonna press save, and then I wanna make sure my capture format is HDV, and then you can press OK. The most important part of this is to choose where to save that file. You're gonna save the Premiere file in the Premiere folder that you created in your larger project folder for this whole project. Now you have opened Premiere. At the top, there are different windows. I like to use the editing window until I get to a pretty finished copy, and then I can add effects or color. I can do extra stuff to finish it. But when I'm editing, I really like to use Premiere as this platform. For those of you that don't quite remember, there are 4 quadrants of Premiere, and I'm gonna explain them in a second. First, we're gonna import your videos. You already have them all saved into the video folder, so all you have to do down here in the bottom left is double click, go to the desktop, go to my project folder, and then inside is my video. Instead of selecting one video at a time, I'm just gonna click this folder, press import. It's gonna pull in all of those files. I might also use a music file just for fun. So when this uploads, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I can double click in that bottom left quadrant. The other way that you can import if you'd like to is up at the top. You can go to File, Import. It opens the exact same thing, desktop, music, and now I'm gonna import my song. Premiere has, so it imported it into the same folder actually. Premiere uses a system of folders called bins, and I like to use them because I really like organization. So you have this bin that has your videos in it. I'm going to down here create another bin that I'm gonna call sequences. And this is where everything I edit is going to be in a sequence. And I'm gonna pull this out if I can, so that my music is kind of out. All right, so I have all these videos, and because I took all the same video on my camera, there's only one kind of video that I took. It should all have the exact same settings. So I'm going to click the top one and then hold down Shift and drag and drop them onto my timeline. I filmed a lot of my daughter because she is a willing subject, and I think it's hilarious to watch her eat. So I filmed a lot of her, just little snippets of our life. All right. When I dragged and dropped everything onto the right-hand quadrant, it created this little thing down here that's called a sequence. So if you zoom in and kind of look in the bottom left quadrant, we have all of these MOV files that have this same icon that has a purple visual saying that there's something visual, and a green audio file saying that these things are movies that have both visuals and audio, okay? If you see, for example, this music song, I don't want to keep calling it a music file, this song only has green. There's no visuals associated with it, so that icon doesn't have any purple. This one is the sequence that you're going to be editing. So I'm gonna rename this draft 1, okay? And I'm going to click this and drag it all the way to the top to my sequences, okay? If I double click it, it opens up in my bottom right. So let me explain these quadrants. Bottom left-hand quadrant, this quadrant that's highlighted right now, these are all my raw files that point to where they are on my computer or my hard drive or in that larger project file, right? So these are all the things I've imported. These are totally raw out of the camera. If I double click on one of the files, I can see it and scrub through it up here at the top left, okay? I can scrub through it and see it at the top left, right? So anything I click on, I'll be able to see whatever it looks like up here to see what I saw or what I filmed. I like to use the list view to look at these things. You can also look at an icon view. So if you want to double click, you can see what your files look like by thumbnail. I think the list view is the most interesting. It's the most helpful for me. So I just dragged everything onto the timeline for draft 1. Sometimes when I do this, I actually am going to call this all. So it's all the clips that I have. And I can kind of go through very quickly and see it. The editing is going to happen in the bottom right-hand quadrant, and then you see what you're editing in the bottom right-hand quadrant in the top right? So up here, I'm seeing everything that I'm editing down below where my cursor is. All right, so there's kind of 2 ways of editing. I'm gonna show you the way that I most often work just to simplify it. And as we move forward, I will show you other ways to work. All right, so now that I have my sequence, and you can tell that it has a different icon, once I have one, I like to duplicate it. So I'm gonna right click on it and press duplicate, and I'm gonna rename it draft 1. If I double click it, it is the exact same as this one. They look exactly the same, but I am going to delete everything from it. The reason I duplicated it was so that I could keep all of the sequence settings the same, so that depending on what kind of camera you film on or what frame rate you choose, the file format can become different. And it gets a little complicated when you have multiple different file formats. You have to decide which one's the primary one and which one you want to match the other ones to. So to make things easy, I kind of create one sequence that has the settings that I want, and then I tend to duplicate it to just keep all of those settings the exact same as we move throughout the project. So now I have my draft 1, and I have another one up here that is all. Because this project has nothing to do with sound, we're not worrying about sound at all, I'm just gonna drop that song onto my timeline, and I am going to play and listen to it. You can move things around with your mouse, and then if you want to play, I hit the space bar. There are so many shortcuts for you to learn in Premiere, and I'm happy to work on them with you. We will also have editing days in class where I edit with you, and I'll be able to teach you a lot of shortcuts and ways to get a lot faster. But once you're ready, you're gonna hit the space bar, and I can kind of hear this song starting to come in, which is great. This will help me make decisions about kind of what to drop in. Now I'm just gonna copy and paste things from here onto my timeline, right? So maybe I'll start with this mobile because it's kind of a strange visual. You all should have taken multiple different angles of the same thing, right? So we're learning how to build sequences. So I have kind of a bunch of different views. I'm gonna maybe start at one really far away, and I'm gonna just let it play. I'm gonna go maybe to this one. It's kind of just weird and moving kind of slowly. And I'm selecting all of it, and I'm gonna use the shortcut Command K. You can also come over here and use this razor tool. We're gonna hit play. I did not hold that for 12 seconds. And once I have the little bit that is selected, I'm going to Command C, copy it, come over to my draft, and I am going to paste it. When you paste things, if I just paste it now, it's gonna paste over the song. But instead, I can choose and say, all right, I'm gonna maybe move this song lower, and I want now if I paste things, it will paste on top of the song. So I'm just gonna listen. And I'm gonna mute this whole track that has the sound from my visuals because it doesn't matter for this project. There's kind of a beat to the song, and I'm gonna think about that as I edit. If you want to, you can pull, you can adjust almost everything in Premiere, which is really helpful because now I can see these beats. So I know that there's about to be a beat here. So I'm gonna cut that. So I'm gonna just, and now I can kind of go, and I'm just gonna pull in a bunch of all of my weird angles. So I'm gonna play around with some of the angles that I took. One of the other things that I often do is if you use the plus and minus key, I can plus and zoom really into something. So I'm on my sequence and I'm pretty zoomed out, but I can press plus and now I'm zooming in. And if I pull this down, I can see my audio really well. And then I'm pressing minus to zoom out. So the plus and minus keys are really helpful. And then the play functions are also really helpful. So I'm gonna I think I allowed these little rabbits to move around a little bit. So I'm gonna let them kind of move around a little bit. And sometimes I just cut a little section of it so that then I can paste it and I can just pull this out until I'm looking for this beat. So I'm gonna pull it out until the next beat, okay? And I know I did some kind of strange, like this angle was really different. And so I think I'm gonna try to do a really different edit. Just to see what that looks like. So I'm making cuts and then I'm copying Command C and coming back over and Command V, pasting it. And it is just easy for me. I can actually just see that there's gonna be a bump in the music. It's gonna make a beat. And I can see that right down here. So I am just gonna cut my visual and that way I'm just gonna keep building my sequences. Right? Then I think I have one more maybe that could be, and so you're gonna have a lot of visuals that you're gonna have to be able to pull from because you have 4 from everything that you filmed. And learning to visually explore the same situation will make your footage so much better. I promise you. If you give yourselves options visually, you're gonna love working with video and it's gonna make your stuff a lot more interesting. And now I'm gonna go into kind of a new scene. I think I had this, I wanted to show this room, maybe. I could show this room a little bit. So I'm just kind of playing around and copy and pasting pieces that I want in. If I don't see a tick, sometimes I listen and I'll press the space bar when I want to stop. And that's another way that I can edit with beats. So I think it's right around here. And I'm just pulling the cursor back and pressing the space bar. Just kind of learning. And sometimes, you know, I did some kind of rack focusing. And so this is my husband and my daughter. We're all being really cautious right now. So I'm just copying and pasting them in to kind of play with this. And then when you like zoom in, I like to use the arrows on my keyboard to just go one keyframe to the right or one keyframe to the left. I am trying to match my cuts right now with beats that happen in the song. And so I am just using my right and my left to go back and forth to see if I hear the beat. I have to go all the way back to the beginning. And I'm just kind of deleting the other portions of things. All right, I like his, my husband kind of looks up, which I think is interesting. So maybe I'll have that there. Sometimes looking for interesting movements that appear in your footage can make things, especially for quicker edits, can make things really interesting. So I also have this, my daughter ends up looking at me, so I'll take that as well. Maybe I want her actually to kind of turn and look at me. I feel like I'm editing a horror movie. Feels a little bit more like a horror movie than something fun. But I was just looking for, you know, movement. I thought their little toes wiggling were it's kind of funny. But so in the same visual situations, I'm trying to look for as many interesting details as possible, right? This is just the same thing. They're just hanging out on the bed. And I am just kind of drawing this together. And you don't have to edit your pieces. The whole piece doesn't have to be, sorry, I get so in my head with editing. Give me one sec. The whole piece does not have to, you don't have to order all of the things that you shot in the exact same order, right? That's what makes editing so fun. So yes, you shot a wide, and then you shot a medium, and then you shot a tight, and then you shot an extremely tight, right? You don't have to do wide, medium, tight, extremely tight, wide, medium, tight, extremely tight, right? Maybe you want to do a really tight to a different really tight that leads into another sequence, right? Maybe you want to break it up so that, you know, it's not 4 of the same thing, 4 of the same thing, 4 of the same thing. Maybe you want to explore a sequence, right? And then do like a quick thing that shows a little bit of a lot of stuff. I want you to play around with editing. This is just supposed to be a fun assignment, right? I think that this is a visual exploration. It's kind of like a journal in a weird way. It's just an interesting thing, a creative assignment to get you to remember Premiere, okay? So I just want you to be playing around with it. And yeah, but remember that I am going to be looking to see if you have enough clips. That is really, really important for me to see if you have all the clips that you're gonna need. And maybe I'll have one that's a really long. I'm gonna wait for this when they walk by. It really is like a horror film, I think. I'm gonna move this over and so again, it's okay if this is just your life, right? Because it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I just want you to be practicing and playing around with the things in your own life. We had this goofy hat on Wilson. Okay, so visually, I'm just playing around, okay? And you might move things around. You might totally change it. You maybe don't have to use music if you just want to use audio from your clips. Truly, this is fine. We can watch the entire thing on mute. It doesn't matter. This is a visual exploration, but I want you to have as much fun as you can. And I want you to explore and just start reacquainting yourself with Premiere, okay? And once you have something that you feel is pretty good, so I'm gonna watch this big for a second. Okay, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of something. Once I feel like I have everything on here is ready to go and there is nothing else on my timeline, I want you to remember that if there's something really, really, really far to the right on your timeline that isn't next to all your other stuff, it's gonna impact the time code of your sequence. So when I'm holding this right here, my cursor will tell me what this time code sees. So right now you see how it says 1425, 1425. At the end, you know, I'm somewhere on the sequence where there isn't anything. The time code that's really important for you when you're getting ready to export is this one right here, okay? This is 20 seconds and 16 milliseconds. So this time code tells me how long my piece actually is. So now when I am ready to go, I am ready to export it, I'm gonna select the sequence that I want to export. I am going to go up here to File, Export, Media. It might take a second. And this time code here is 20 seconds and 16 milliseconds. It matches the time code of the thing that I'm trying to export, right? So you wanna make sure that that's not 25 minutes or an hour because you have something that's on your timeline that's really far away, okay? And then when you're ready to export it, I want you to just export it. You can export it. You can just match your sequence settings for this assignment. And then over here in this is not intuitive, so do pay attention. Where it says output name, there is a blue font. I want you to double click or click once. And I'm gonna choose my export folder and I'm gonna call this Wilson POV assignment, okay? And I'm gonna press save. And now it's renaming it, and now I am exporting it. And so it is gonna export that to my folder. So give me 1 second. All right, tells you it was exported successfully. I'm gonna go to my desktop, I'm gonna go to my project folder. Inside is all those other folders we created, and now, right here, wonderfully, is this MPEG that just got exported, okay? This is what you are going to put on to your Google Drive. So if you have any questions about it, you're gonna double click it and it's gonna open a video and you're gonna be able to play that video, okay? That is what I want you to put on the Google Drive. So how do I do that? How do I put something on my Google Drive? I'm gonna open up my drive. You might need to go to Canvas. A link to our Google Drive is on the assignments, so just give me 1 second. We go to Canvas, courses, documentary. It's definitely on our class drive. You might not have asked me permission yet, so take the time today to ask permission, and I will grant you permission to add your folder. So you're gonna just create a new folder, and once you have your new folder, I'm gonna double click into it, and then I'm gonna take this file from my desktop and I'm just gonna copy it and move it. I really just dragged and dropped it onto the Google file, the Google folder. So it's easy peasy. It's a very easy thing to do. Yeah, but you have to remember that it takes a while for things to upload. And in this class, usually in this class, but I will tell you this more often, I'll remind you of this. It's really helpful to try to get your stuff on the Google Drive the midnight before class, because it takes a really long time for me to download stuff. So especially if we're gonna have days where I'm gonna be showing it in class, it's gonna be really important to try to get your stuff up there, ideally the midnight before class. That way I have enough time to download everything and have everything prepared so that we can watch it in class. All right, if you have any questions with editing, specific questions with editing, feel free to drop me a line, but try to look at YouTube. It's really helpful. I found that, I run into a million problems when I'm editing, and it's actually, I've become really empowered, I think, to figure out what to search for and to find things. Because if something's taking me a really long time, there's usually a shortcut for it. And there's usually someone that tells you what kind of shortcut is out there. So I'm here to help you, and I'm here to teach you all that I know. So if you want to drop me a line, I will try to answer it as quick and get back to you as quick as I can. If not, YouTube is a good second option. All right. The thing that I really want you to take from today, is the organization and the structure of this. So making sure everything's organized, every single thing you import into your project should be in this folder structure. And if you want to move something onto a hard drive, you can take this whole folder and move it onto a hard drive, and all of the files will remain intact and all the relationships will be the same. We will talk about this more with every single project that we make in class. I will go over the organization, we'll talk through it together, and sometimes we'll even do it in class. I apologize again for being virtual, but hopefully this is helpful. And just remember that this is, you're supposed to be making mistakes, right? So this is a learning process, and I just want you to remember learning how to expose things, learning how to put it together, and just getting used to really simply editing in Premiere without having to worry about multiple audio sources or multiple cameras, or also adding photographs or effects onto your stuff. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in class on Tuesday.